because I've worked with a lot of people in that situation and they've done very well. The short answer, and stick with me to the end if you really want to start to jump into it yourself, but the short answer is when you are triggered in the moment, the feelings that come up with your partner, at work, with friends, those feelings are the same feelings that you felt back as a kid. The emotions are the same, and you can work with it in the moment. And sometimes those very feelings in the moment that get triggered will bring you back to childhood. But let's talk for a second. So why does this occur? Is there something wrong with you? Are you broken? Are you bad? Really not at all. I think there's this perspective where we feel uncomfortable with ourselves. We grew up not so sure of ourselves. Maybe you grew up feeling it's not okay to feel. Somehow there's some issue with me. We tend to blame ourselves. If I'm not getting the love, security, reassurance that I need and want, I've got to somehow make sense of it so I could feel okay or trusting of parents. And the typical response of a child 24/7, 365 in such a situation is to blame themselves. There's something wrong with me. I'm bad. I'm not good enough. And so we will struggle to feel good or okay about ourselves. But it can lead to this sense that I'm at odds with myself, or there's a part of me I'm fighting, or there's this deep, dark secret, throw it in the closet and just don't go there. But there's this sense a lot of people have, not only am I uncomfortable in myself, I'm at war, or I'm on guard, or I'm constantly anxious. That's another source of anxiety of, what's going to come up next. I'm at odds with it. Part of the healing, part of the therapy work is starting to build a relationship with that part and start to realize that, wait a minute, we're on the same side. This part is in my corner. And so that can manifest as, the triggering emotions that we feel, fears, anxieties, and worries that come up. But it could also be part of the reason why you don't have access to a lot of memories. It could, because if they're too much, if it's too intense, to be a child and feel unsafe, insecure, not loved, abandoned, is overwhelming. We are a small child. We come into the world. We are primed and programmed to be absorbent of the messages we're receiving around us. We are looking for a sense of ourself from the people that are around us. We are looking for basic emotional needs, looking for safety, security, love, reassurance, acceptance, validation. Start look at a small baby, completely dependent on the parents. Is the parent tuned in, attentive to the needs of the child? And then that continues as the child gets older, being aware of the emotional needs of the child. So for a lot of people, that just didn't occur. That just didn't happen. And so we have this sense, that there's something wrong with us. Part of the response can be just to cut it off, or to bury it and put it away, to be out of touch with it. It's so overwhelming. It's so much that let's just shut it down or pack it away or bury it. And that's often traumas. It's so overwhelming. What is trauma? Is something that's very painful, uncomfortable, hurtful to me, over which I have no control. And so the complex traumas of childhood are experiencing emotional pain or lack or neglect, and we have no control over it. So it's like, let's cut that off. Let's pack that away. Let's bury that, because it can't be handled. That's not an attack. That's not a bad thing. That's actually a loving act by this part of you inside of you that's like, this is too much to handle. So that's where that comes from. But again, the reason I'm going into that is because it's part of this general reframe where it's me and myself. Let's start over, or let's redo this. Let's get to know each other. Let me learn to run from myself less, avoid less, self-medicate less. Let me start getting a bit more curious about what I think, what I feel, what's going on for me, what do I need? Let me start to build a relationship with me. That to me is the essence of therapy. The therapist with the client, helping the client discover things about themselves, learning more about themselves, learning how to be in touch with what they feel, build up a sense of worth, value, validation, and the confidence to express that to the people around them in a way that really works, and build successful relationships so that you're able to handle situations and navigate them as they come. I don't think a person's meant to live life memorizing a list of responses or, if this happens, do this. It's to handle things as they come. But at the core of that is feeling good within yourself, to being well in touch with yourself, trusting your instincts, having a good sense for your inner voice, and practicing living your life based upon that. The core of a healthy childhood is that parent being tuned into the child and helping that child meet the child's needs. That helps a child feel safe. As a small baby, that's physical needs. As you get older, it's more emotional needs. We then, post 12, 13 years of age, we then take over. We're not just a child part anymore. We're also an adult part. And part of parenting ourselves, which is the healing, is getting in touch with what we feel, what we think, what we need, being aware of that. That's step one. And then step two is taking actions to meet those needs. And that helps us feel safe and secure. So, but the general reframe is that I'm not at war with a part of myself. I'm not under attack from a part of myself. Part of me has put away or buried or put out of reach some of these memories because it's too difficult to handle. I do find that memories will start to come back as we do this work. I think they'll come up as we're able to handle it, as we practice our emotional tools and skills, getting in touch with what we feel, using a feelings chart to start putting names to the feelings. I mean, that's a complete intercession with yourself. It's just, as I was triggered, what was I feeling in that moment, which we usually ignore. It's just that practice, 5 seconds, and then a few hours later I can do it again, maybe 10 seconds, and I'm building up my ability. But to me, that's how you deal with the situation that I have no access to childhood memories. I don't blame myself. I don't feel I'm broken or damaged or horrible. There's a good reason for it. When it's ready, it will come out. Let me stay focused on the moment. So like I said, there's that child part. That's who we were exclusively until about 12 or 13 years of age. We absorbed the way we saw our parents interacting with us, treating us, how we saw our parents interacting with each other, the modeling that went on for relationships. Then as we're learning things about ourselves, some true, some not, we then go to school and those same dynamics will play themselves out. So we have that, those triggering kind of dynamics, but in the moment, as things are occurring, those same emotions will come up. There's still a desire to be heard or understood. So around 12 or 13 years of age, this adult part then kicks in and we start to mature, we start to develop. And so here you are as an adult, to realize that you are two parts is already powerful. So we talked about not seeing yourself as damaged or broken, or there's a part of you that's against you, and there's a part that's working together with me. That's one reframe. Another is that, well, let me see myself as two. The thoughts, the feelings that will come up as throughout the day, there's two different sources. One is that inner kid part, which is very familiar, and one is this adult part. The adult is confident and clear and reassuring and capable. The child is still holding on to some of those wounds, some of those inaccurate messages we picked up as a child. But it's the same kid part. So you're saying, I don't have any childhood memories. It's like, okay, but that same part that you were is with you today. That's why when you're talking, let's say, to a boss, and it's deeply triggering, why am I reacting so strongly? It's just a boss. Why? Because there's something about that moment. It contains certain emotions or dynamics that are very familiar to things you went through as a kid. So you don't have to have childhood memories to access it. That kid part is still with you. And whoever in your life is triggering you is putting you in touch with those same feelings. And by getting in touch with the feelings you felt when you had an issue with the boss, when you and your partner had an argument, when you're cut off on the highway, when a friend mistreats you or lets you down, all those feelings, if you connect with the feelings, you are connecting to that inner kid part. You don't have to go back to the past. It's too much, it's too intense. But I do find that is healing. That is us building a relationship with that inner kid part. You can then, as you're connecting with the emotions and getting more comfortable with that and building up that skill, and regularly developing your emotional vocabulary, the more that you look at a feelings chart to give you suggestions. Hey, what was I feeling? Happy. Okay, but give me more words. What were you feeling? Anxious. No, give me more words. Give me 8 words, 7 words, more. Let the chart, you go through, search feelings chart on Google, and just then have it on your phone. And as you're trying to process a moment, after the moment occurs, start trying to tune in and put some words to the feelings that were there. That builds up and develops your own emotional vocabulary and helps you feel more comfortable within yourself. Then you're feeling more safe and stable, more in touch with yourself, less in fear of this radical part within yourself, realizing it's on your side. As you look at the feelings, let's say it was with your partner, you had an argument, okay? And you reflect back on it and say, wait a minute, I reacted really strongly, more so than really seems to fit the situation. Why might that be? So I look at the feelings that were there, and then I can ask myself a question and say, well, when else have I felt those feelings? And it's in that moment where I can start to drift back a bit. I might remember a memory of a few years ago, and with time I might go a bit deeper. Or the more that I do this work and I keep showing up for that inner kid part and I keep tuning into the feelings that come up in the moment, the more that part feels safe to start expressing itself. The more the message is sent, hey, all those memories that you had to bury because it wasn't safe, it's okay to bring them out now. We're capable. We're able of handling it. You may find yourself kind of reflecting on a moment of an argument with a friend saying, yeah, but what was I feeling when that happened 2 hours ago? And you look at the feelings and then a memory starts to float up automatically because that memory has the same feelings in it. It's a time as a kid, 5 years old, 8 years old, 14 years old, whatever it is, but the feelings then are the same as the feelings that you felt now. And as you're ready, it starts to trickle back into your consciousness. So not having access to childhood memories is not a death sentence. Life isn't over. Stay in the moment. Stay connected with what you feel. Keep tuning into the emotions in the present, because that same kid that you were then is with you now. Just you also have an adult part, and you're totally capable and able of connecting with that part. Anyway, keep in touch. Check out the channel. There's lots more talk like this. If you want practical tools for succeeding in your inner health, your relationship with yourself, inner child healing, which then automatically upgrades and uplifts all your relationships, gets you attracting the right kind of partners, avoiding the bad kind of partners, communicating healthy. Check out the channel. Please give us a subscribe. It helps us develop the channel. We appreciate it. Give a like, click the notification bell, share with people who need to hear this message. Check out all of the offerings on here. I check out all the comments, so feel free to talk to me in the comments, and we'll talk more soon.